And we're live. Awesome. So thanks everyone for coming to another Node.js Community Committee meeting. Let me make sure I don't echo myself. Okay, there you go. We have a rather full agenda today, and we will also be hearing from the Node Foundation on JS Interactive updates. Node plus JS Interactive updates. So we will get started, and I want to warn everyone that we're going to be time boxing pretty heavily today. Okay, so are there any initiative updates?
I've got one for internationalization quickly. Just to give an update, we have translations going in a few languages, Italian, Spanish, French, and we're seeing translation of mostly the API docs and the org guides, like contributing, maintenance, test writing, style guides, that kind of stuff. We're seeing a lot of interest in people wanting to join, assist with new languages, and we need to start focusing on our most needed languages and getting momentum, primarily Chinese, and getting translation support there.
Awesome.
One quick question. In terms of the translations, you said there's already translations of like the API docs and stuff. Are they visible anywhere?
Yeah, you can look at them directly in Crowdin. I'll provide a link for that in just a moment.
Yeah, so I'm not so interested in me looking at them, but I'm more interested in making sure like the project knows they're starting to be there, and can we make them visible so that it's not like, hey, the collaborators say, wait a sec, you translated them, we would have commented or whatever. It's sort of like if we're making progress, I think having them actually consumable somewhere, even if they're not complete, right, is something I think we should, it depends on how far along you are, but it sounds to me like we're far enough along, it would be useful doing that.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's something that we should be getting visibility on as soon as possible.
Go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
Oh, I'm just saying, I'm sort of coming back in after a paternity leave type thing, so I'm getting more visibility on it now. But I'm definitely excited. Thanks.
Yeah,
definitely excited to jump more into that and make things visible and give more updates.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, if you need any help, like in terms of making the collaborator base know they're there or whatever, just let me know. But
awesome. Yeah, we'll do.
Sounds good that it's really good that we're at the point where there's, we've got stuff there, and I think it's something we can really promote in terms of like, hey, we've come, internationally, I think it's a really good message to be promoting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to connect with you on that and start promoting more.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Any other initiative updates?
I have updates from user feedback and mentorship.
Cool.
Especially if Ahmed's not on.
I do not believe he is.
So I don't think he is. Okay. So user feedback. Tooling focus group helped identify some areas in of common usage, some patterns that they were seeing and incorporating NPM modules, specifically make_dir_p, and so making a directory and recursively, and kind of the opposite of deleting everything. Those recommendations have landed in master. So real nice interaction through user feedback, engaging the tooling community. So that was a really nice success. And in that, Bone Skull, Christopher Hiller is taking on tooling as a special focus, and sort of expanding that team role around that. In line with that, we also this past week had a enterprise focus, and Ahmed Nasri of TELUS is taking on that and beginning to sort of lead that. In particular, Ahmed is looking for ways that enterprise organizations can integrate kind of forward-looking releases, your current releases into enterprise CI/CD. So data and so we're getting testing on not the LTS, which is what the enterprise folks are going to be using and actually deploying on, but getting visibility into sort of pre before things come down the pipe and before things go into a production release, integrating there. So it's really exciting to see some subgroups and teams grow up inside of user feedback. I'll stop. Any comments?
I would say, sorry, I was going to say that we also added Ahmad as a member today. That got merged in. So
following our new ComCom pattern of elevating folks and promoting folks through working groups and initiatives, Ahmed is joining the user feedback team, and through that has become a Node.js project member. So good stuff. Then on mentorship, we're winding our way towards the conclusion of our first cohort. We did a kind of alpha cohort where we're only running a month just to go through an entire cycle and make sure that we have enough context to help folks. Next iteration, we're planning on doing a 3-month cohort, and what we as designed, mentorship is designed to run at a 6-month cohort. So I'm glad Rich is here observing. Now is a great time to get involved with the mentorship program. It's a few hours a month of helping folks. We're looking for specific scopes where you're passionate about, and the mentorship team will do the matching of helping align folks that are interested in those areas, and by helping mentor somebody, you are directly empowering and enabling more people to get involved in the project, and reducing the burden on yourself. So I hope you'll consider joining either in the next cohort or if you miss this cohort, then we'll be back at the end of the year, kicking off the first 6-month cohort.
One quick question. I know we have a challenge of like lots and lots of people wanting mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was a little bit of discussion about doing some things in larger group, but I'm just wondering out loud if like for that group, scheduling some larger group, like, maybe groups of say 20, a 1 hour, just like how you get involved in the Node.js project. Because, I've had people reach out to me one-on-one and say, hey, how would I get involved? So I've just gone into the phone with them for an hour. And, you go through that, talk about our recommendations. Some people are like, will reach out. Other people will probably just wait until, there's something else. That large group has shown interest. And I know it's, we don't have enough mentors to say, here's your one-on-one.
Yeah.
Just thinking that might be like something we could do in the shorter term, where you could say, we'll have a number of these 1 hour sessions for a larger group. And yeah, it's not what we want to do. We'll still work towards having the mentors and everything, but it'd be better than just leaving them with nothing, which is maybe what they have today, right?
Great. So we're meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific. I know Tierney is trying to really, protect time today.
Yep.
I would love to, work with you to have one of those sessions. Getting involved, that seems to be directed a little bit more towards the mentee side, and our biggest challenge is empowering and finding mentors, because we have a backlog of like 500 mentees and a pool of about 10 mentors. So we'd really love to increase the mentor side of the equation, just so we can really help the rest of the group. So if you can take that concept of how to get involved and potentially blend that with engaging mentors, I think we have a winner.
I think you might find. So anyway, I won't be able to make the meeting tomorrow because I'm booked at that time. But
got it.
The last thing I'll say is you might find mentors who are willing to do just that versus being a full mentor, because there's a different level of commitment, right?
Got it.
So that's my blend. My last thing to your last blending into the getting mentors, maybe a different type of mentor, but
got it.
Oh,
So
I'll respect their
help
time
in the
box.
poll
I'm
at the
gonna time box
beginning.
you.
I will gladly
Yep.
put your name with that one.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Tierney.
I'm
I'm done.
time box with you. Okay. Any other initiative updates?
Quick one from
Go ahead.
dockside of website redesign. Some pull requests are starting to come in for getting started guides, which is great. They're very much works in progress. So if anyone has time to go past them and see if that's something that they have experience with, they can very well make suggestions. I think that the intent is for that to be a collaborative effort. So just throwing that.
I will also say, Manila and Adam, two of the people I reached out to at the Microsoft team, I reached out to someone there, and then they said that two people would be interested and able to be contributing. So they're going to be ramping up into that. So I'll make sure to be hands-on with them and helpful. But yeah, I don't know if I should say the names yet, but yeah.
Cool, that's awesome. Yeah, that's it. It was a quick one.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So with that, any other initiative updates? No? Cool. We're going to move on to the agenda items. I'm going to try to time box these to like 5 minutes each, just because we're so low on time today. So first item on the agenda is JS Interactive and Node Community Corner. I'm actually going to move that to the last item so we can use the remaining time for the JSF people who are here to engage with us and maybe have a little bit more than 5 minutes. So I'm going to move that to the last agenda item that we discussed. So next item on the agenda is the ComCom Chairperson September 2018 self-nominations. So it has been 1 year since the last election, or about 1 year. There is currently an issue 363, that has, that Tracy went through and created, and has a 4-minute that you can submit anonymously as a self-nomination. Ben made a very good comment that it was a self-nomination, not a nomination, because it's quite a bit of work to put on someone else, and you don't want to nominate someone for something that they may or may not be able to handle, or like in sense of time, not ability. So I also noted that I would not be rerunning this year. I do think that it's pretty vital that we have, a change in leadership, and kind of follow that healthy path and kind of set a precedent for doing that. So I, in that issue, not document, I went through and outlined kind of a lot of my experience and some of the things that I think others can expect in the role, having done it for a year now. Do note that my experience doesn't need to be your experience. Like, I have a very hands-on style that I just kind of drop things and go do work if it needs to be done, or if it's immediate, including helping people. Like, I have I go through and talk with a bunch of y'all every week. That might not be something that you're able to swing, and that's okay. But I did want to make sure I outlined kind of what I had done to be able to communicate that to you, so y'all have, a reference on how much work it would be. So with that, I think this is more of just an awareness thing. I'm happy to answer questions on this, both commitment, any questions about the role itself, and also, questions about the issue itself and timelines as well. So I will open the floor to that for another couple minutes. Cool.
Well, can we just say thank you?
Thanks, Ben. I was going to go there.
Thank you for being amazing and being hands-on and doing so many things that have made ComCom successful and being there for all the things. You're awesome, Tierney, and really greatly appreciated. Thanks for sharing your tribal knowledge with me a bunch over this last year. I mean, like, countless things that you've done that have made Node what it is through ComCom. So thank you for all your work.
Thanks, Ben. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
No, I joined ComCom, because of that leadership, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of ComCom and increase my participation over the past year.
Thanks, both of you. I really appreciate that. Cool. So are there any questions about this? I'm happy to answer them asynchronously over the next week, 2 weeks. You can also reach out to Tracy. She will have a lot of other context. So, there's a lot of help for this. And I will say that whoever does step up to the role, I will, of course, be available to assist. And always happy to help answer things and step in when, you need an extra pair of hands, for sure. Awesome. Cool. And with that, I think we can move on to the next item, unless anyone else has something they'd like to say on that. Cool. Next item on the agenda is the moderation team recertification. So I created this spawning from a discussion in the moderation team at the last meeting, although we didn't have quorum. It was more of a, oh, hey, we realize it's time for this. So it was around this time a year ago that the moderation team was spun up. It's about a month or a week or two out, I think. So on that part of the moderation team process, and I know a lot of y'all actually weren't here for that, is that every single member of the moderation team had a +1, had no objections from both the entire constituency of the community committee and the TSC, and sorry, not the entire. The members who came into the issue to discuss it, when people were self-nominating, there were no objections to any of the members who are currently on the team. And that is the process for nominating new people. So I would also like to say, if you're interested in participating in the moderation team, you are always welcome to self-nominate. And that same process will be applied. I'm also happy to talk about that if it sounds ominous, because I can see how it would sound ominous, but it's really not too bad of a process. That said, we do need to actually have a vote on each member of the moderation team independently to recertify them as a moderation team member. My plan was to go through and have that vote now. We do not have the time to go through 10 people and do yes, no votes from every ComCom member. So we are rather going to
email?
It's probably going to be email, although it's a lot.
I have a slight objection. I don't think we have any context on what has been happening in the moderation team and whether we should certify. So this is essentially a complete rubber stamp. So I know that Rich has been reporting to the TSC about moderation team actions. I haven't seen any report from the moderation team to the community committee. Mm-hmm. And I would love to recertify, but I don't think we have any information about who and what has been happening and by whom.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So you're correct on that. We have not been reporting that internally. That would be on the ComCom members who are a part of the moderation team, which is myself and Tracy, and formerly you. So I will take that up. I will also go through and retroactively build out that report, because I believe Rich has been reporting it every 2 weeks, like every meeting. I will go through and take that to go build out that and get that shared with us.
Can I add a little context?
Sure.
So the only thing I've reported to the TSC publicly is what shows up in the weekly TSC meeting issues. Every week I I provide a summary of moderation actions, and I mention TSC, ComCom, and moderation so that people get GitHub notifications on those comments. And then I think what Refael is referring to is internally a TSC member asked, for information on who of the current moderation team members is active, what do they do, who actually like takes actions or engages in conversations and that sort of thing. So informally, I collected a bunch of information and provided it to them. And I think that might be what Refael is looking for, but I'm not sure.
So looking at the rules, we are supposed to sort of, as the community committee, state any objections that we would have for an individual representing the moderation team, but not necessarily to vet or validate. So I don't think our obligation is quite as heavy as to to assess, but rather to voice any objections if there are any.
So that's true for the nomination. That after the year,
not the recertification.
So it's the first time. It's a first for the team.
Got it.
Establishing what is the recertification process look like. We could decide it's a rubber stamp unless there's been any non-resolved issues. We could just rubber stamp it.
So we characterize that as a rubber stamp. We have more context of the folks, especially in our committee. So if someone throw myself under the bus, so I raise my hand to be that, and then we have context around Tierney and Tracy. So those are the individuals that I think we should focus as the community committee. We should focus our attention on most because we have the most context around members and how they've represented ourselves.
I'll give a little bit more feedback. I was a member of the team for about 10 months, and I was very much privy to everything that was happening. And by the time that I'm not a member of the team, I know what I don't know, and I think part of it is, let's say, if we want to take this recertification process more thoroughly, we should be aware, like what Rich said, who is active, who hasn't been active. As such, that's my opinion. The committee as a whole can decide that the information that we have is enough, and we can recertify on the information that we know. I won't bulldoze this process. I'm stating that there is, activity in the team. Some members are more active, some members are less active, some are, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a quick question.
For the team.
Just have a quick question, if you will. Are we doing a performance review, or are we just looking if someone causes troubles inside the moderation team? Because if we are doing the latter, I don't think we need to know who's active and who's not.
Right.
Yeah, since this is the first time, we need to define what is the purpose of this. I'm pretty much inclined to say we're doing not that we don't need to do performance evaluation, that we need to, like Tyrell said, we can say we have no problem in general with the people on the team, and we recertify them for the next team. We just need to decide what is the the intent and what is the semantics of this process.
Yeah, so I agree. That's also not the ComCom's decision. Because it's a joint team, it has to be decided with the TSC, as far as I know. And looking at the moderation team documentation, or the nomination, which recertification is actually a heading or in the nomination part. So that might want a PR to kind of have that in its own section. But the only definition that is provided is an annual recertification vote is required for all moderators. And for an individual to continue as moderator, a simple majority vote of each TSC and ComCom member, each of the TSC and ComCom members must vote in favor of retaining an individual moderator. So effectively, even that process that is initially needed for approval does not apply to recertification in terms of every single person needs to sign off, because that already happened. Or as many people as possible had an opportunity to object, and they did not. And now it is up to both the TSC and ComCom to basically say, yes, we as a group, via simple majority, say, yes, this person can continue. I'm going to time box this here and say that we could probably open an issue around this. Refael, would you feel comfortable doing that? You seem to have the most kind of thought put into this so far.
Okay, yeah, I'll put my thoughts in writing.
Cool. And could you do that into admin repo, since it is a shared team?
I will, although the TSC has decided and defined and passed the vote, so it is up to us, but yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Cool. I'm going to move us on because we do have a few other things we need to get to. Next thing on the agenda is individual membership subgroup recommendation. Dan, this was created by you. Do you want to share?
Right, so I dropped a link to the issue 365 in the chat. So just at a high level, we're continuing to meet with the individual membership subgroup, and wanted to share sort of a baseline. That with the work that's going on in website redesign, a lot of the concepts that we're planning out and scoping, intermingle with some of the considerations that are happening and are sort of in the Gantt chart after website redesign would begin to land. So we wanted to start with sort of the known state of things, and so we decided to take a vote on just the thing that we are aligned on is that individual membership is a important part of Node.js, and that we align and agree and believe that individual membership is important. So we unanimously support that, and wanted to share that back with the committee.
Cool. Are there any questions or comments on that specific process or discussion?
I guess I can close the next agenda item. If you're interested in getting involved in that and to keep the agenda rolling, the next item is our September 4th meeting. We've been meeting on Mondays, but that Monday is Labor Day. So Tuesday, September 4th, please join the individual membership subgroup if you want to work with us to scope and define the next iteration of individual membership in Node.js. Thanks. Oh, and Tierney, to scratch off another agenda item, that user feedback thing, I removed that item. That's an old one.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so last agenda item is first pass at partner communities. There's been continued discussion there. I haven't had a chance to get back to it, but Carl is being very generous with his time and sharing a lot of context around questions, from a partner community perspective, having maintaining at least one, if not two, possible partner communities. So I did want to shout that out and say thank you to him or them for continuing to engage, because that context is actually super important for us to make sure it's actually something that's useful. And Dan, that actually might play into the individual membership stuff. That'd be an interesting thing to feature those in what we were discussing. Sorry.
Cool. I'll make a note for the agenda.
Cool. And that's it for our agenda, unless anyone has comments or questions on that. Cool. So we're going to go back up to the first agenda item. and talk. So I guess it's not the end of the agenda, but talk about Node plus JS Interactive at this point. So who from the foundation wants to kick that off?
I can kick it off if you like. We have a bunch of folks on the call, but I think most people know that we have rebranded. Is that correct? Or maybe I should just say.
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so basically we have rebranded the event to be Node plus JS Interactive. We're super excited about the progress we've seen in the past, few months in terms of registrations and people getting excited. We're doing a lot of really cool things specifically for the Node community at JS Interactive as well. Part of the reason why we all wanted to come on every 2 weeks, basically leading up to the event, is because we want to make sure that you all feel like you're involved and included, and also just say, hey, we're here if you have any questions. So feel free to ask them, whether it be in these meetings or whether it just be offline. We're super happy to talk about these different things. I'll let other folks step in for updates or let you guys, if you have any questions. But I did want to bring up the fact that there's sort of two things that are big within the Node community that are happening at JS Interactive. The first one being Collaborator Summit, obviously. So currently, you should have received individual emails from myself or Medina related to registration. If you do have any questions related to that, and this is for folks who have been approved from the travel fund and have requested an actual ticket, feel free to let me know. For the Collaborator Summit, additionally, you will need to register. That is in, I think it's Node.js/summit in one of the issues. So if you have not registered yet, please do so. And again, please feel free to email or message. My email is ladylee@nodejs.org. We are also asking corporate members to donate swag to the different collaborators. So if you want to poke your companies, feel free to do so. And again, you can just message me, and I'm coordinating the different swag and everything like that.
Right.
And
so is there anywhere that sort of gives context to that? Is it that
context to get,
basically if you're asking for swag for collaborators, is it you're asking for t-shirts, anything else, or is it, and how's it going to be handed out, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we're creating bags for everybody who's attending the Collaborator Summit. So whoever is interested can just message me, and I can be like, hey, this is how you'll be included. This is what we're looking for. Here's the address.
Kind of like in Berlin, except in Berlin, we ended up not doing the bags. But really nice concept, Michael, if you remember that.
Yeah, I saw some stuff there. I just had never heard any discussion or anything about that. But so I was just, if I go to somebody else, they'll probably have some questions for me.
Yeah.
I'm just asking if there's something I can give them other than.
My recommendation would be probably smaller would be better. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be a lot of stuff. But, I don't think anybody's going to object to getting a t-shirt. It's just going to increase the shipping costs and, stuff like that. Stickers would be great, I'm trying to think, what else do people have in Berlin that was popular?
Cups.
Everyone wanted the cups and nobody could take them back.
That's right. Mugs were very popular. They were popular.
They were great.
I don't know if this is a part of the same swag item, but the pins were super duper awesome. Like last year, giving people who go through the Node, putting their first commit up. Yeah.
That's actually going to happen for the Code and Learn. So for collaborators, and that's actually a really good point to bring up, Ben. Basically, for collaborators who are mentoring for specifically the Code and Learn, or anybody within the Node community who is participating and has a successful PR that's submitted, those are the folks that get pins.
Great.
So, you know, for those who are registered for Collaborative Summit, we will be sending out a reminder to say like, hey, we're kind of expecting you to be at Code and Learn anyways. But yeah. So, actually another thing is if anybody, you know, if anybody has anybody whose company might want to sponsor anything, just let me know. If it's swag or if it's like you know, something else, you can, you know, give whatever, just
commemorative pins.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So like another thing, which is a big one that we've been planning, and I did put an issue up, and I did send a message to the ComCom and TSC email threads, but there's a community corner, right? So we ended the submissions for that content, but I mean, the form is still open if you hear this and you want to submit. And I'm getting together the like sort of selection committee from folks on ComCom and TSC. In chatting through that thread, it sounds like it's probably better to maybe set up 2 meetings and then, you know, few people from ComCom and TSC who might want to help shape the agenda for this community corner. So for those of you who aren't aware of what the community corner is, let me explain that a little bit. There'll basically be a booth area in which certain topics, like topics that have already been suggested, for example, are the internationalization efforts, things talking about the website redesign, doing just like Node office hours in general, right? And maybe even volunteering your time to just like come hang out and talk about Node. So a lot of folks from ComCom have already said, like, raised their hands and said, hey, I want to participate in this. So if you need the link and you can't find it in the issues, it's under the Node.js/summit. It's an issue in there.
I know the NAPI team was discussing it in the meeting last week, or
Okay.
actually maybe in an issue. I don't know if, and I suggested that people submit if they, even though it was closed. So I don't know if that's happened or not, but that's another possibility.
I haven't seen anything come in yet, Michael, but
Okay.
you know, I mean, just to echo what Tracy said there, like I think we've received 4 submissions in that form. So,
Okay.
you know, bring them in. I mean, it's like officially closed because we do need to get on to the next phase.
Yep.
But, you know, I mean, if people bring good topics, you know, like it's the community corner. I mean, I'm not the person deciding whether it's good or not.
I think the other thing is as part of the review, if we go out there and say, well, hey, we should pull in some working groups, you know, I think we can reach out to the, you know, I can help with some of them and other people we can get to help without others. You know, I think if we make an ask, we can probably get, you know, some working group members who might be there already to participate, even if they haven't submitted. So just, we should keep that in mind as well, as if it's like, we're looking for spots and we say, well, wait a sec, we don't have good representation. Let's go out and ask and pull, as opposed to limiting us to what was submitted.
I mean, yeah, I can, I tell you what, why don't I, Tracy, I don't mind taking this. I can follow up with Michael and you know, others and basically say, hey, here's what we've gotten so far. I won't include names or anything like that. And then for anything that looks like a big gap where you think, oh, this working group or that working group's really active, let me reach out and see if, and I know that folks are already planning on being there. Let me see if they want to submit something. So
yeah, sure.
I can take that action. But yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. And Tracy, sorry, my Bentley, leave it. Sorry about that. My dog's freaking out about something. I mean, I think this is going to be a really good opportunity to expose all of the opportunities to get involved in the Node community to attendees. And so my hope is that it really, you know, helps us grow our contributor base and, you know, gets more people involved at whatever level makes sense to them. So, and a way to showcase all the awesome work that's happening within the community. So, yeah, anyway.
Nice.
Yeah. And so on that, if anyone from the community committee or any of the initiatives who isn't like a community committee member, but like you're still part of the community committee, or anyone who's not a part of the community can be. Anyone who wants to submit, I'm happy to help walk you through that. Like we can do it today or tomorrow. Really happy to help out. I'd love to see more of y'all presenting.
Awesome. That's awesome, Tierney. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, I think we also just wanted to, those are our updates, but any questions from anybody related to the conference itself?
One thing I would say is, I don't know about anybody else, but when I know that it reads Node plus JS Interactive, but I always say it Node and JS Interactive. I think that rolls a little bit better. Does anybody else have a strong opinion about that? I kind of like the way it sounds, Node and JS Interactive versus Node plus JS Interactive. It sounds, I don't know, sounds a little clunky to me. Does anybody have any thoughts?
I agree with you that it sounds clunky.
So, Node
I don't read it like and though.
Nice, doesn't it?
I agree. I don't read it like that though.
No, I know. I know. I mean, it's normal to look at it and say, oh, it's called Node Plus. But I think the way that I've seen that play out at other Linux Foundation events where it's multiple projects that are involved, they use the plus sign, but when you say it, it's and.
Yeah.
Just small point.
Oh, so like KubeCon and CNCF or whatever the Cloud Native. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
I've always read that as plus. So.
Okay. Just me then. I don't know.
So in that, I'm curious what led to the name change more recently.
Well, yeah.
More recently in terms of
like from JS Interactive to Node Plus, or sorry, Node and JS Interactive.
I think I'm the one who initiated that. This is Mike Dolan from the Linux Foundation. When Mark left, I had a few conversations with people. It seemed abundantly clear to me that the name was off and missing something, based on feedback I got from a number of people in the community and from people who had been talking to people in the community. So I think I went to the board a couple of weeks ago and said, would anybody object if we change the name? And there were no objections. And Chris Borchers did the same with his board, and there were no objections. We had a discussion on it, and that was pretty much it. Then we went out to the, I think some members of the ComCom were asked about it, and then the TSC was asked about it, see if there were any objections in those communities. We didn't hear any issues there. The JSF TAC was approached and asked, and we didn't hear any issues there. So we went forward with the name change. I think there was at least one other sponsor who had said they wished that Node was actually in the name, but I think that was pretty much the genesis of it.
Awesome. Thanks for doing that, Mike.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. I am surprised this went on so long without it being addressed, and I understand it may have been our personnel at the LF who may have not been paying attention enough to this. But if there ever is an issue around naming like this, or anything in the community that's bubbling up and becoming more of a concern, I encourage people to freely approach me. I'm happy to jump in and try to figure out what's going on if something's dysfunctionally out of alignment with what you're trying to do. So, anyways.
Can I just say something really quick? I think it's important when we were talking about this on Twitter in ComCom that we try to make sure we keep with the branding as in Node plus JS Interactive, because the recent tweet, I read it as Node.js Interactive because there's no, obviously there's no plus symbol there. So
the hashtag, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, with
you can't do it with a hashtag, but
it's kind of like a pain in the butt. But we figured because it was Node.js Interactive. I mean, I could write in plus, but that looks just kind of wonky.
Yeah, no, I got it. It's not definitely no criticism on the how what we're doing there on the blog or anything like that. I just want to be careful as we can. That's
a good point. Is there like an ampersand or something we can use, maybe potentially?
No, that cuts it out.
Yeah, plus and ampersand are going to go and break the hashtag. But I've literally written out and makes it longer, but it really drives home that point. If we agree to align around that being and not a plus.
I'm sure Zibby thought about this for a long time.
Sorry, Zibby, I didn't realize I caused all kinds of hashtag problems for you.
No worries. I see what you're talking about now. I'll be sure to list it out and then also use the hashtag, just so it's like clarified. This hashtag can be used so we can also do analysis and see how we're doing and stuff like that. Because right now I get what you mean.
I think Tierney's suggesting some acronyms in the chat as well.
They're pretty wonky. Like I'll be honest, NAJSI is a little long.
Yeah.
I like the second one though. I mean, it's got a nice ring to it.
All this to say, thanks for being awesome.
Naji.
Thanks for being awesome, Zibby.
Yes.
One other thing I'm noticing too, I'm looking at the Node.js Twitter page and highlighting the name change. The social card still says JS Interactive, still has
it's old.
Yeah, I actually noticed that this morning too and threw it into our Slack. So hopefully that'll be updated today.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are there any other questions for the LF team? Is there anything else the LF team wants to tell to us? Cool. With that, I think we can drop into our private session. It's going to be short, but yeah. So thanks everyone for joining the stream. ComCom members, please stay on the line. And with that, we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.